So that's the latest review, whether it also reflection to bubble of which statement, whether it's bubble statement or scope of Russian and NATO together combine force and sweep clean. That's five. But sweep clean is 5 continents. Clear up the Nazis, jail them, and gun these AK-47s. Delete them. Shove these into ovens, into drainages, and pour maggots into those. I personally launch several nuclear strikes onto Nazism if that's deemed suitable, whether I will bomb those fantastic. It will be incorporated into sort of cultural level, whether incorporated towards then becomes sort of incorporated into a cultural routine, etc. Or completely demolish this Nazism. They're quite out there, and the level is nonsense written, so whether it's utterly nonsense. Nazisms are quite extensively out there. I personally got them onto CNN. These must be cylindrically removed. They'll be fantastically removed and funnily removed. Probably drill them to the second on this. That will teach a few lessons, and I'm pretty sure the factor churn all these ploticists and whether with minor and whether also with minor rather Nazism understand. Recently there are any of the providence descriptions and treaties thereof not to provide cancerous stewards or completely imprison those and disable those that prevent access towards us. You cannot access to public. You shouldn't be operating as some kind of leeches, shouldn't be operating as some kind of empress around the streets. If there's some kind of disobedience against us, whether to the recent statement thereof, or whether specifically whether to the recent statement thereof, will engage those with rockets and ammunitions, or pave, or crush, or whether reason, will crumble, crush, or crush, or whether will crumble towards whether and crumble towards whether crumble against whether crumble towards modernity. The grave payments, the grave colored, and whether the grey colored pavements of modernity will be painted, will be converted, and whether will become, and whether reason and whether repronunciation, and whether just whether will become, and whether another, and whether just and whether will become, will be, and whether will be converted to a reason, and whether also and whether minor rather converted to the communist blood red. There's a lot of influence before this performance, right? Considerable in this because the days of all this drainage. It's legal right now to prosecute outside. It is to prosecute against tigers and lions. They shoot elephants. What is that? Who shoots elephants? Who here wants to shoot an elephant, right? Not with your gun. If it's only invented or whether purchased. Notice we purchase. The leeches simply limp around. Does it greet anyone? We don't have humans around, guys. There's evidence a lot out there. Listen now the evidence and checking out those articles sort of serves considerable as better than as much of hearing sort of the review or the conclusion from some of these incidents, and those conclusions may not be as direct as of immediately from a specific article. It can be more of a general analysis or whether general mention of it. Most of the words are much preoccupying. Nearly anyone that's not formidably against, whether much of which Europe are not our guys. Not our guys. It is much of a case of just us ultra-nationalists, or whether nationalists, and it could also abandon, right, or whether recent, and whether could almost abandon the chance of whether the probability, whether mentions, and whether efforts of whether recent and whether the dimensions of whether also and whether probable also and whether at first and whether also and whether at first and whether another and whether at also whether also and whether at first of they're sort of coordinated, so there comes sort of a much more nicer story about other description there, whether reason thereof amongst other descriptions. Notice that the whole day is being some kind of disciplinary action. It ain't a trick to contact with friends or to conversion to, like, we got some real monster, whether we got real monstrousness right here. Who does that? It's just kidnapping and doing some kind of scalping, some factory machine. Like the whole game, there ain't no friendship with the humans, whether the Nazi, whether also much of the radicalized, the extremists of the world. It's a matter of who pulls the rifle on the other guy first, whether who pulls the rifle on the other guy first. Usually there can be a bundle, whether also a whether mixture of generalization there. The problem of the pursuit of we being constantly evaluated. What is that? Kill all of them. We know it's deleted, but kill all of them is much better sounding, much more the way the slogan should be. Why the fuck are we always evaluating? Check out the effort this whole world is bidded against us, and whether this whole degeneracy that spread to each of those places. We match these users that find themselves to be in a league and are doing this frenzy on beauty, ever dramatism, thievery, and whether also lechery, and whether recent they're in, whether lechery they're in. Should these want to fight us again, will bring guns directly in front of those and execute. Would execute them repeatedly. Palestinian fathers, Palestinian uncles, Palestinian cousins resting in the same wall would execute them with the same gun. It ain't gonna be some kind of Chicago rival gangs on a shooting spree. It shouldn't be done by some troopers we hired from Somalia, whether from Congo, whether from Republic Congo, whether from a place named as Republic Congo, whether from a place named as Congo, whether from the regions of Nigeria. We'll train these troopers, bring those to Vermilion, eventually, whether simultaneously, and whether also with simultaneous attacks onto the Nazism entities, and there will be sweeping, whether there will be simultaneous, whether there will be also simultaneous, and whether there will be also this sweep clean of whether recent of the sweep clean of whether sweep clean of this, whether recent and whether and another whether the sweep clean of mass amount of this modernity compounds. If any females are found interfering with our business, their tits may be cut off. It's not like it's some valuable tits or actual tits. That's actually going to be spent on the Constitution. We're going to have more guns, more cash than anyone else. If they disagree, we scalp them. And possibly we dip them into a oven and possibly bury them onto a sand. That's actually going to be done. This is going to be strictly enforced, and any hideous action is prohibited. Everyone got senses. Regular folks wouldn't remotely operate this way. Should a Nazism operator, whether Nazism affiliate found, they'll be directly deleted. Someone can go against us, but they will be deleted. Only retard will still. Reason they're accountable as rhetorical expression there. Seems whether in this action does true law, so whether much more law comes from, then could ever those ones collectively through a century, whether a longer duration or whether longer time, from those businessmen, from those lawyers, Supreme Court judges, bunch of goofs at the least, right? And whether at best. There are reasons there to bubble discussion of two different locations there. Whether recent or whether two locations recent thereof. Whether two occasions, whether recent two occasions, or whether two occasions recent, or whether two occasions thereof, or whether two occasions recent thereof. There can be variants of almost every mention, with slightly different pause and breaks in, whether it continues and whether resumes. Speaking resumes and whether resume is a huge trouble too. The corruption is motherfucking throughout the whole map. And I'm supposed to address it per each instance, whether I have to address it every single day. Where's UN? Where's the World Bank? Stop printing these demographic studies. What do you do with the study? Have a plan, have some goals. The preachy tokens and whether the recent mentions kind of also overusing. That's how terrible this situation. And also the word terrible, and whether also the reason there the statements. That's the occasion to use the word terrible, right? So much twistedness. These are enthusiastic fields. I'm supposed to be just wolfing and the rest of the stuff. It doesn't have to be literal like that. Why should I have to? Why I have to perform how much of a level in order to get to somewhere? For world peace? Are you kidding me? Are these guys microwavely messed up? Do they want mercury poured onto their brains? Fix yourselves. This is bloody common sense. So rather there's a zombification for me to fight. I nearly have to be dented not to be a human in order to operate. So whether dented to completely non-standard, I have to be unorthodox, and yet allow still matching with usual routines and stuff, and not be found by the Nazis. But whether not be have to be essentially similar, whether comparative, whether similar enough, and not to be sort of give alarmism to Nazis, whether give Nazi alarmism, whether reason for, or whether of reason there of Nazism found, or whether Nazi found. Not really a Nazi fountain here. Someone who is may have, and those are dependents. And what is the operation there? Where is the standard? Where is the order there? And amongst numerous whether other mentions, whether other similar mentions, or whether also the variance of the reason mentioned there, whether just for this occasion, or whether of this occasion, for whether reason there, just whether of this occasion of whether the variance, whether of the origin, whether reason, and whether the arrangement of the order of the mentions, whether phrases there, and whether efforts of a bit of kosher there of whether to follow also to give whether reason there, just whether a bit kosher of reason thereof. Gun the Nazis down. Get some anti-aircraft gun directly 50 double trouble, whether double the speed of 50 caliber, all the beta males, the brutes, the banshee cartel. What the fuck are those? Right? A reason there, main. Not really to coincide with the gamma. But it's bloody holy rhythms. So whether it's bloody rhythms, this Christianity group, check from the perspective of whether play a role, whether be at a role for a while, for a couple minutes, or whether be at a role for a couple minutes, or whether be at a role, or whether of plays for reason there, for whether continues for reasons, for whether continues for reason, whether continues, or whether another, whether continues for reason, or whether a role of whether of someone, and whether a Muslim. Then Christian is sort of the more holy version of a difference than Muslim, and how incredible could that really be? Other than except perhaps its role is to play, whether its position is sort of going towards not entirely sort of a parallel position. It should not be so much, whether not so much comparisons of, and whether another, and whether not so much essentially whether not so much comparable, whether comparable to, whether parallel to, whether comparable, whether comparable, whether parallel to. Sort of go in this utopia land, whether much more of utopia is. Why should I speak in a format that's going to match with everyone else? It's going to completely blend it. It is going to wholesomely register as something else. These are elected lethalities that be stalking regular folks, brewing poison, resting on the sofa, whether degeneracy, whether degeneratism, resting on the sofa. Can these ever build a sofa? Have these ever been to a sofa shop? And that's more so of whether that's more so of the case of the Gorams, and whether considerable, whether reason there, or whether reason there, or whether considerable as a change of subject, and whether reason there considerable as, and whether reason, whether reason considerable as, or whether reason there, or whether reason, whether the reason considerable as a change of subject there. Statusly, the reason there sort of won the candidate for that. So much distortion, so much poison, toxins, bile, or whether just whether mainly of the word bile, whether mainly of the mainly bile, or whether mainly of the word bile. This function is constant. Then how is one supposed to get out of it until someone deletes this? That is the reflective correspondence from which is going to continue. And often all these questions raised comes from nationalism, then it's puppetized down to whether there's modernity, whether there's puppetry, whether there's modernity, puppets having to mention it and insist, oh, this is from us, it's our question. Bomb and gun all of them. We don't have much time left. And whether the speedier, the better outcomes, whether the higher profits and whether higher revenues. That could be a bit merchantry thinking, whether banking thinking. It will become registered as if that itself may not be a large factor, whether it could be a small factor. The probable of a reason to whether reason of the probable of whether it's probable of whether it's another whether it's probable of a reason of to could be for whether and whether it's probable to suitable for and whether it's also and whether it's to also whether to at first and whether to also and whether at, and whether also and whether reason there and whether at first and whether also and whether also at first reason of by the repeat probable to be considered. Quiz against us is constant knowledge, question, surveillance. It's fear-mongering, whether the spread of degeneracy, cowardice. Slice the leeches open. This ports, namely some zens out of whether God's remove those. These don't even agree in mentalities. They're not how bad. Mass amount of sleeps. Which quote mark and whether mass amount of sleeps and whether reason and whether also mass amount of sleeps and whether reason and whether mass amount and whether recent and whether sleeps and whether recent and whether mass amount of sleeps and whether recent and whether mass amount of sleeps. Not really to produce repetition, whether minor repeater to on which and whether to probable and whether of it's probable for also to it may as if therefore use logic and therefore it's going to register another. But the movie was from whether what sort of the theme there was, and whether the theme, whether the genre, whether the drama there was sort of another. Whether just whether also whether the movie there, whether the moments there, whether the deathful moments, whether the death, whether the death on, whether the death on movie there, whether the death. Whether the on movie there, whether also whether not, whether also whether the movie there was a hideous one, or whether a deprecate hideous one, like it resembles a dance spread with perfume, whether bio dance spread with perfume, stuck accidentally to someone during a autopsy surgery while the person is alive. So autopsy when the person is living, whether the target there is, or whether the undead is also there. Whether the undead is undead there, but not sort of the deathing type, or whether sort of the undead in, or whether of the uncurrent to dead, or whether the ongoing of to be, or whether ongoing of dead, and whether they're polished more from whether more polished from whether just the reason they're just more polished from whether. More polished, or whether a second, or whether another, or whether more polished, or whether more refined, or whether and more whether more variance, and whether variance of whether recent of more, whether recent of variant, whether variance of whether reason of whether reason thereof, whether recent of variance of whether variance of whether recent variance of reason thereof, whether recent thereof variance of. Whether variant versions of, whether variations, and whether they are variations of, whether reason thereof, or whether reason of, or whether reason thereof, variant versions of, whether reason thereof, variations of, or whether reason thereof, variants of, whether reason thereof, variants versions of.
whether it's sort of another. The logic could probably override, but it was sort of another something that be the namely of a probable for which unknown, and whether the probable for which unknown, whether the probable of which and whether the probable of two be another, and whether another, and whether be another, whether being a, whether that's whether being another fact, whether being whether there, whether reason thereof, or whether reason there, reason of, or whether reason thereof, being whether reason there, and whether reason another, or whether another, whether reason there, and whether another, and whether reason there being another external factor, whether being another, whether reason there, and whether another, and whether reason there, and whether external factor, whether reason there, and whether another being another external factor